All right, here we are now, episode number 58 of the Oklahoma Weather Show. It's been a little while since we've done this. Our weather has kind of kept us pretty busy lately here across the Sooner State. At least for the time being, things have quieted down now for today, so we get to jump into a quick Hangouts, the show where basically the KOCO5 weather team sits down and just talks about weather, personal things, whatever you want to know about your favorite weather team here in Oklahoma. We have Shelby, Jonathan, Brad joining us today. It's a rarity this time of the year for all four of us to actually not be on vacation. Brad, I was a little jealous of your photos these past couple days, man. How was the hiking?
You know, I had to get away from the heat. Oklahoma, you know, even though it's not been 100 degrees yet, the humidity, I'm a little bit of a weenie for that. It's feeling, you know, like 105. So I had to go find a mountain, went hiking, went to Colorado for July 4th weekend, and it was great. Did some hiking. Mount Antero, which you suggested, was a good hike.
Yeah.
It's still tough, though, because when you go from sea level, 1,000 feet ish, like we are here, to 14,000, I did the math, it's about 41% less oxygen. So that takes a toll on you.
Oh man, you know, how was the headache? I know you had to have some pretty nasty headaches.
That's kind of where it started. I think you could start feeling a little bit dizzy. You can just kind of tell. You walk a little bit, it's harder to catch your breath. But then you get that side headache, and then even a little bit nauseous. Even my fingers started going tingly, and I couldn't even think straight. So it was fun, but
sounds like a blast.
Fantastic.
I feel your pain though, because you know us Flatlanders, as I guess they refer to us as, you know, once you try to go up there, you really got to acclimate yourself to the altitude. And last year we did Long's Peak right on July 4th weekend, and I mean I just got the worst headache. But you know, of course, you say, well, I drove all this way, so I'm not gonna turn around on this mountain now. But what happened to me, Brad, and I don't know if it happens to you, Jonathan, Shelby, you can chime in if you ever had altitude sickness. My fingers started swelling, and I couldn't bend my hands. I mean, my ring was stuck on my finger for about a day and a half. Even I tried to take it off. Yeah, Jonathan,
because my fingers started going a little bit numb. So I don't know whether your body's shutting down its extremities.
14,000 feet's pretty high up. That's really high.
You know, you're supposed to drink water. That's supposed to help. And I drank a lot of water. Probably would have only been worse. But you know, I guess there's only so much you can do when you only spend about 12 hours, you know, trying to acclimate for that. It's just going to be hard to do it.
It's not going to happen. You know, and the human body is very weird because sometimes, like I've climbed 14ers and I've handled them just fine, and then other times, you know, I try to do it and the altitude sickness just kicks in. Jonathan, you ever have or Shelby, you all ever have a fight with altitude sickness?
No.
No? Shelby, as much time as you spend in Colorado now, you've never had it?
My parents have a rule. The first 24 hours, it's no drinking lots of water, and no overexertion.
Does everybody follow this rule?
We do. My dad kept getting sick every time they went up there, so we follow the rules.
Jonathan, you escaped up to the Northeast, man. How was it?
Oh, that was good. It would speak of altitude sickness. Unfortunately, I've summited Long's Peak twice. I've attempted 3 times. The first time, the backside, the trough was covered in snow, and I didn't have crampons, so didn't get to do it. But the other 2 times, I think we flew into Denver and then went to the hotel, and literally that at 1 a.m. we were hiking or going after Longs. Didn't acclimate more than 12 hours, and yeah, the altitude sickness was wicked. I hated it. I remember getting up wasn't the problem, it was coming down. And I remember coming down on the backside through the trough, and I could only go about 30 feet, and I would have to sit and catch my breath, and I was getting like tunnel vision, really bad tunnel vision. And coming down the boulder field, which is like scrambling over Volkswagens, was brutal. And I was in really good shape, like marathon shape, but yeah, I had some problems. But anyways, yeah, I went up to New England, Connecticut, over the 4th of July. It was great, and they thought 82 degrees was hot. And so it was awesome. The pool, stayed with my sister, and they live in Madison, Connecticut, and they live maybe about 5 miles from the ocean. And so the first day was at the pool, and the water was like 72 degrees in the pool, and that was refreshing. Our little boy, who's almost 3, kept wanting to play, and I was throwing him in the air and catching him, and he was shivering. He was so cold, and he didn't. It was funny. We have this video where he's shivering, and he didn't want to get out. I'd put him out of the pool, and he would scream, "Okay, I keep throwing you," and he was cold. Kind of almost had like blue lips. He just didn't want to get out. The ocean was colder the next day, but that was a lot of fun. And then the third day, Symphony in the Park, which every city in America should do Symphony in the Park on the 4th of July. It was awesome. But in that, being there was great, but traveling was terrible. I have a newfound appreciation for mothers who travel with infants and toddlers because, you know, you hear that baby crying on the plane, and you're like, ugh. And now I was the parent that had the infant that was screaming. And I'm like, no, no, no.
You don't want to be that guy.
Oh, man. Well, Jonathan, Brad, you both missed a little bit of rain that came through Edmond. Shelby, you had some rain at your house, right, on Friday or Thursday?
Yeah, over 5 inches. It took 14 bags of Quikrete to fix the washout near my driveway to hopefully keep my driveway from collapsing. We'll see how good of a repair job we did.
Oh my God! You know that was.
Oh, that was only in what, like an hour and a half.
It was really. I was trying to sleep. I had to work the next morning, but I just couldn't. I had never seen anything like it. My neighborhood's on a hill, so of course that makes it worse. But it was crazy. I have no mold left. Not much dirt left in the yard.
That was an interesting night because we started watching these storms going up, and then they kind of hung out in Logan County, and then they just pushed south. And, you know, we were doing at KOSU, we were doing our cut-ins as, you know, we were expecting to do. And then our FAST unit started bringing in these pictures, and they were saying, we've never seen this much rain come down in this short amount of time. And all of a sudden, you know, 2nd Street and Edmond started getting really bad. And our news director, Rebecca Gaylord, actually called in, and she said, it's getting really bad, you know, let's get on air. And she actually ended up doing phoners with us. So she was our reporter for on 2nd Street for a little bit, but that was just insane. And then, you know, we see this system that was coming up this past weekend. You know, I looked at the rain totals, and I'll have to pull them up here on the Mesonet, but, I mean, this was one of those Oklahoma City got like 1 inch of rain, which I think any other time of the year, you know, probably would have seemed like a lot of rain. But you look down to the south, you look up to the north, there are people getting 4, 5, 7 inches of rain. I mean, this was intense, and I think, you know, it was okay for OKC to miss out on the rain. I mean, heaven forbid, our lakes were starting to get a little low, right?
Yeah.
Almost back to within bankful.
Yeah, I think Foss and Canton Lake are now at 75% full, but yeah, this water's been pretty crazy. I have yet to turn on my sprinkler system except once this year, and that was just to do a little bit of fertilizing. But you know, I think I'm gonna probably try. I'm gonna try to see if I can go the whole summer.
Hey, so check this out, right? And I wrote this on Facebook yesterday. I've been digging around all over the country trying to figure out who has been wetter than southern Oklahoma. And I searched, you know, all the Gulf Coast states. You'd think, you know, it's got to be somewhere in Louisiana, somewhere in Florida, somewhere, you know, the Carolinas. They had the tropical system early in the season. There has been nowhere in the continental United States, and probably Alaska too, obviously, that is wetter than southern Oklahoma. Tishomingo now at 55 inches in 180 days.
I believe it. You know, I mean, and that's the beauty of having these Mesonet sites is that, you know, that report, if we didn't have the Mesonet, probably would have just gone, you know, by the side, and we wouldn't have had
Well, you've got Pauls Valley. Pauls Valley is in over 50 now, so you wouldn't have been able to. I mean, what's interesting is this isn't just one little geographic area that's had 50+ inches of rain now. You've got 100 square miles plus with over that 50-inch mark, which, I mean, that's 6 months over 50 inches of rain. Now that's probably not going to continue, but that's astonishing. And I know a lot of you guys have driven through there. Be interesting to talk to some of the farmers because there are lakes where there have never been lakes before.
There are rivers where there have never been rivers before. Looking at least the yearly rainfall that we've had so far, I mean, if we were to go dry for the rest of the year here in Oklahoma City, we would still have an above normal rain year. I mean, these are some good amounts. And yeah, I mean, you can see here 50, 55 inches. But the gradient, even across the metro, has been pretty tight. Norman's at 43.4, and then it's a foot less as you go up towards Guthrie and northern Oklahoma County. But
hey, Damon, at my house here, I'm sitting right next to my weather station. 24.18 since January 1.
How much?
24.18.
I got you beat. 37.07.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
we live like 3 or 4 miles.
Even across Edmond. I mean, you have 37, I have 24. Damon, probably you have, what, 40-something?
Yeah, I don't have a weather station. I'm trying to get the wife to, I want to get the Vantage Pro weather station, but I don't have one yet, so I don't know, how does a meteorologist not have a weather station?
Show the shirt. Show the shirt.
Okay, so here we go. So basically, Kevin Durant, everyone knows he has his weatherman line, so I saw this the other day and I had to buy it. So thanks, Kate.
So she lets you buy the shirt, but not a weather station.
I want to get a good weather station. I want to get like if I'm gonna get a weather station, what do y'all have?
I have a Davis Vantage Pro 2.
Okay.
And it's
wireless
got the little
wired
fan blowing air thingy on it. It's wireless.
That's what I want. So when I was down at the ABC affiliate in Abilene,
this is the console actually, and I'll just have all my.
That's what I want.
Here.
Shelby, what do you have?
I just have one of the ones from Bass Pro. The brand's AccuRite.
Okay. So when I was in Abilene, we put up a Mesonet. We had about 21 stations, and I was actually able to get the GM to approve Vantage Pro 2s, but they were the wired versions. So I have a lot of background with those, but they're pretty expensive. But I want to get I want to get the soil moisture and all the add-ons to it. So maybe if Santa is nice to me this year, maybe I might get one.
You get what you pay for, I think. I've had this since I don't know, 5 years, and the only thing I've ever had to do to it is replace some of the rechargeable batteries in the little solar panel thing outside. So, I mean, they just keep on going. I mean, it's been in Colorado. It's been taking beatings with hail. I mean, they just go.
Yeah. How's the rain gauge on it, though?
Well, I went and bought a little. I had sent my wife to Walmart to buy a this week actually, day before yesterday, to buy a plastic rain gauge. So I really didn't want to go into Walmart and buy this $5 rain gauge. I just thought, well, wow, they really, somebody recognizes you. Wow, what great accuracy Channel 5 is using. But I wanted to put it in the backyard just to compare, because with a tipping bucket rain gauge, if it rains too hard, I think you're going to lose some of the collection because it's tipping back up. So with this new rain event coming out, I was going to try to compare, but didn't end up being quite as heavy here at the house, so I don't think it was the best. I mean, they were very accurate, so I'm going to wait for next thunderstorm just to kind of calibrate it a little bit.
People have been asking, at some point this weather pattern has to stop. And as I always say, when you're in a drought, you forecast a drought, and when you're in a wet weather pattern, you continue to forecast a wet weather pattern. July usually isn't a month that's really known for bringing a ton of rain with it. Of all the summer months, it's actually the driest. But next week looks dry, but I'm just going to keep forecasting, rain in the forecast until probably until Mother Nature proves us otherwise. I mean, Jonathan, you've been here for a while. Shelby, you've been here for a while. Have you ever seen a setup like this where it just rains for months? I mean, this pattern started at the end of March, basically.
Yeah.
I know that Oklahoma weather can change without warning, and so you could be very careful to say our wet weather pattern will end or our wet weather pattern will continue. In the summer, there's not a strong bias when it comes to ENSO, so El Nino, La Nina, not a really good indicator of what's going to happen long range. So I don't know. I'd be very hesitant to say we're going to go dry or we're going to go wet. And it looks like the long-term stuff is pretty neutral. So who knows what's going to happen? But I think you're right when you say drought begets drought. And when you're in a wet weather pattern, it seems like you're in a wet weather pattern. Have you noticed this, the pattern we've been in for the last month? It's been a heavy rain every... Okay, so May was excessively dry. Go back and look at how many days in Oklahoma City that it rained. We had some really big events, but most of the days it rained. And then June, we went forever. Well, not forever. We went 10 days without a lick of rain. It was like one of the dry starts to June ever. And then, boom, we got hammered. And then we were dry. Boom, we get hammered. And then we're dry. So it seems like if you go look right now, like not like the almanac, it seems like every 7 days we get hit, 7 to 10 days. That's the pattern right now. We're getting hit with a heavy, heavy rain. So here's our heavy rain that we just had. It was a 2-day event. Give it another, 7 to 10 days. I wouldn't be surprised to see another pattern. And it seems like what the pattern has been, the death ridge, the heat dome. Say death ridge. That's storm chaser lingo. We slip into the heat dome, which is high pressure, over Oklahoma, hot and dry, and then it retrogrades back to the west, and then we get in that northwest flow. We get the cold front that comes in, it stalls, and we get convection. We haven't had the northwest flow pattern yet.
Yeah.
June, July, nocturnal MCS is where you have the big, huge storms that start in Colorado and Kansas, and they roll through. That's how we get our heavy rain in June, is nocturnal MCSs. And I've yet to, do you guys remember our latest nocturnal MCS? I mean big complex. I don't mean ongoing Oklahoma rain. I mean big storms out of Kansas, bow echoes and...
Yeah, they've been in Kansas. They've definitely been north.
We haven't had it.
No.
We haven't had it. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah, but you know what? You make a very good point about saying that it seems to be every 7 to 10 days, because I feel like during the month of May, I was at least coming into work, and Brad was having to come into work at least every Friday or Saturday. It was every 7 to 10 days, and people, a 10-day stretch of dry weather in Oklahoma is actually not that big of a deal. In this time of the year, certainly, you go through these patterns, but even if you just look at here's the outlook. Let's see here. Let me pull it up. Here is the 3-month outlook that. Let's see. Let me do a screen share. Let's do a screen share on this. Why is it not popping up? Well, my screen share is not popping up anymore.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think we had 100 degrees this summer? If so, when?
Yes, we've had some areas that hit 100 already.
I'm going to say this summer, OKC, Will Rogers.
I'll go first week of August.
Yeah.
What day, Damon?
Okay, are we going to do a competition here? Is that what we want to do?
We're going to write this down. We're gonna hold ourselves accountable.
All right, tell you what. Well, climatology says that the last week of July and the first week of August are traditionally the hottest. That's when our average temperature, I want to say it's about 75.
I have all the stats.
What do you have?
That's cheating.
Hey.
No, it's not. That's called being...
Don't make this too. Give us a date here. A date. Everybody has to have a date.
I will go August 1st.
Okay.
Saturday, August 1st.
Writing
these down? Who's writing these down?
Damon, I'll tell you why you're wrong on that one. That is the weekend of the Velma picnic. Always rains for the Velma picnic. A muddy mess for the big rodeo. It's the longest running free rodeo in America in Velma, Oklahoma, my hometown.
Okay,
so
well, it won't be 100. It won't be. I'll make sure it's not 100 in Velma. It'll be a cold front. This time of the year, usually when you get there's gonna be a day that comes in here where right before a cold front, temperatures are going to spike. There's going to be a front that's going to be stuck across northern Oklahoma, and it's going to get insanely hot one day. And a lot of us are probably going to blow the forecast because it happens at least every couple of summers.
All right, you guys ready for this? Here's my date. July 21st.
July 21st.
Yeah, I'm banking on a small pattern change here. I know we've been in this every week sort of thing, and if that rain continues in another week, yeah, we're not going to get 100 degrees, but I'm going to say we're going to take a break for a couple weeks.
You know, the GFS was showing showing OKC yesterday was showing it for next week, getting up to like 97. I haven't quite looked at the GFS.
You know,
but
Damon, the 0Z run of the GFS had 100 degrees on there for Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay, yeah. Yesterday it had 97. You know, there have been a couple places that have already hit 100. Looks like that would be Medford.
I think it's a little early though, just because I mean you've had 5.5 inches of rain at Will Rogers in the last week. It seems a little too humid to hit 100 degrees.
What we need to do is get rid of the humidity. I mean, these dew points have been in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. I mean, it has been incredibly sticky. You know, usually this time of year, when about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll put up my temperature and my feels like map. You know, usually there's like a 2 or 3 degree variation between the temperature and the heat index. But last week it was 92 and 100. I mean, these numbers were so incredibly off there. So I got to see what happens to dew points.
So Jonathan and Shelby aren't going to come in with dates, and that's how they're going to play.
We're crunching the numbers.
We're just not going to say anything. Let Brad and Damon throw themselves under the bus.
I need some numbers. I need some dates.
So Brad, you said July 21st. Damon said August 1st. Shelby is thinking, I'm going to go with August 9th. The 9th of August. August 9th. And mine is purely based on climatology. Here, let me explain why. So for OKC, here are the numbers. For Oklahoma City, our average first 100-degree high is July 9th. Okay? Our average last 100-degree high is August 21st. I think our weather pattern is a month behind. Okay? So I'm just going purely off that, what I've noticed so far this year with the tornado pattern and the lacking of the MCS pattern. I think everything's a month behind. I think the heat comes in, and I do think we will hit 100. And based on climatology, since 1890, I should have gone later. I went to 1898. I should have gone later than that. But, okay, in the last 116 years for Oklahoma City, we have hit 100 degrees at least once 84% of the years. So there's an 84% chance, based on the last 116 years, that this year, climatology, that we'll hit 100. So it's very rare not to hit 100 at least once. I got other numbers too.
Man, that's something.
Now, you're probably going to have to do some integration here, because technically 84%, it would already be less than that since we're past our average first 100.
No, we're not.
Huh? We're not?
Today is the 8th, tomorrow is the 9th. The average.
I thought it was June. I thought June was the first 100.
No, the average first 100-degree high. Now, the earliest 100-degree high is April 12th, back in 1972. The latest first 100-degree high, September 1st, 1989. Now, here's where it gets silly. The earliest last 100-degree high, if that makes any sense, June 1st, 1960. And what is the absolute latest 100-degree high? The latest 100.
September 30th?
September 30th, 1977.
Oh,
there you go.
Well, we're going to need to get these numbers way down before we get some 100s in here. I mean, soil moisture is pretty high. Now, Jonathan, you were out of Oklahoma in 2011, correct?
Thank goodness.
Oh yeah, Brad, you weren't here yet, were you?
I wasn't. Were you here?
Oh man, was I here? I got here back in 2009. Shelby, I know you were here. That was the year where I write down the almanac, the climatology of the day every single day when I go in and do my forecast sheet. And lately, I've just been writing 2011 for the record highs because it was just insanely hot. I mean, if you go back and look at the National Weather Service prelim climate data, and just look at June, July, and August. I mean, I want to say there may have been like one day in there where we did not hit 100 degrees. Every other day it was like 99, 100, 110.
What were your dew points like? Were they fairly low?
So that's when we went into an exceptional drought, and I want to say dew points they got pretty low. Here, let me pull it up. But they did get pretty low. I'm gonna say probably in the 60s, 50s, which is pretty low for this time of the year. But let me pull all that stuff up. But that was just, I mean, people were angry that summer. Like I think everyone was just over it. Let's see here. Let me pull up.
Nobody still didn't come in with a number, Shelby. I'm not going to let you off here.
August 17th.
Okay.
Wow, late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be late. I think we're all going to be talking about, we still haven't hit 100, we still haven't hit 100, and then there it is.
You know, we could all be wrong. GFS still going 100 degrees for Monday.
Yeah.
You know, there's something psychological about putting 100 degrees on the forecast map.
Oh,
99, no big deal. Go 100.
Yeah.
No, let's see if I can do the screen share here. Here we go. So this was July 2011. I mean, that makes you angry. Look at this. We did get 2.91.
Like, I'm angry looking at this right here.
We got 2.91 inches of rain on July 12th, and yet we hit 98. So that was probably an overnight MCS that came in.
Yeah.
Soil moisture, I mean, it dropped us 2 degrees.
But look at that. Only 4 days didn't hit 100, and your coolest day was a high of 96. Man, it sure was cool today. Only hit 96.
Gosh, no kidding. And you know what? And even the morning low temperatures, I mean, 80 degrees for morning low. The average temperature on that date was 94 degrees. Like, you know, if you give me 101, I'm okay with 70 for a low, but 81 for a low temperature, 105, 80 for a low. I mean, the morning low temperatures were almost just as big of a story as the afternoon highs. I mean, 107, 103, 102. That was pretty nasty. I don't have dew points on here. I was hoping that we would have had dew points on here to maybe be able to figure it out, but nope.
You know, notice the wind there on the 12th was at a 54 mile per hour gust. You know, you probably had some really strong gusts with some of those storms. I've noticed here lately, you know, when it's getting hot and humid like this, these winds are ferocious. There was one storm this past week out Texas Panhandle. There was a lot of damage from it, microbursts, I suppose. And I guess what it was a week or two ago, Minko, that 96 mile per hour gust.
And that was legit. That was a legitimate wind gust. You know, I kind of questioned it at first, but the 5-minute sustained one was like around 84. Jeremy Carter was actually just coming in on that storm. It was a downburst that came right on through. Yeah, that was nasty. That was nasty. So who wrote down all the dates?
I did. No, I didn't. So Brad Souter is July 21.
Are we gonna make this legit and tweet it out or Facebook it out to the masses?
No.
No.
Shelby, what was yours?
August 17th.
August 1.
And it doesn't have near as much science behind it as Jonathan's.
Now, mine doesn't have much science behind it either. A little bit of climatology, and I remember the day that I got married. It was 108 degrees in McKinney, Texas, and that is our sports director, Brian Keating's wedding date.
Ooh.
And I just know usually whenever someone has a wedding, it's got to be hot, right?
And tell you what, whoever wins, we will take you out to lunch. How about that?
Is it closest to? It's closest to.
I think so.
Now, are we doing this as closest to, or are we going to throw in a little bit of Price is Right action without going over?
Shelby doesn't want that.
Nope. Shelby, what's the perfect weather for your wedding day? Because your wedding's coming up.
Oh, man. You know, I looked at the climatology for our date when we were looking to pick dates. Highs in the 70s. It's kind of almost a little chilly once the sun goes down. But, you know, it'll probably end up being like 110 for my wedding in October.
Oh, no, Shelby.
How's the little lake doing?
Beautiful.
How's your little lake doing? I know, is it overflowing yet?
You know, my parents have been in Colorado. I don't know. I hope it's still there. Hope
So,
everything's
so tell
okay.
our viewers the history, the story behind why we're watching this little pond.
Oh, we're watching a little pond because I'm getting married at the little pond. It's also where I lived growing up. Or I guess not all of growing up. I graduated high school and we lived there. My parents still live there, and my brother and his wife got married at the pond. And when we got engaged in April, it was extremely low, and obviously things have changed very quickly.
So you know what we need to do? Apparently, obviously this little pond is very important to your family. We need to start looking at pictures of all the events and weddings that have happened at this pond, and I want to do a water level, chart, every year, low water, high water.
Well, that will work. We're a little bit of cheaters. We're oilfield people, so we have a drilling rig and actually drilled a water well. I think actually back in 2011 because we weren't going to have water for our cows. So if it starts getting bad, we cheat a little.
Oh, okay. Well, then it was a good idea, right? It was a good idea on
No,
paper. It was
it
such a
was
good
a
idea.
very good idea. It's a lot cheaper if it'll just rain and keep the pond full for my wedding.
We'll put in a request. We know some people. Hey,
Yeah.
y'all want to add anything? Y'all want to add anything to this? No? Brad, Jonathan, y'all want to go out and get the shirt?
You've already done the shirt. That's the day. There are other ones, aren't there?
There are other ones. Every quarter it seems like there's a new weather meteorologist, centric shirt that comes out. And actually, I found this shirt. I stumbled upon it. Rick Mitchell, his wife, actually tweeted out, "Look what I just found for my husband." And I thought that's way too cool. I had to go out and find it.
I was trying to find my new warm-up jersey, warm-up suit that we have. The First Alert Weather Team, the blue one.
Oh yes.
I really think we should get some tearaway pants to go with that.
Do they still make those? I think they still make them.
The warm-up jackets they kind of look like 1993. They look a little retro.
They're retro on it, They look good on the golf course.
Yeah, I like them personally.
Yeah.
Jonathan has it. Is it still your Twitter picture, Jonathan?
Yeah, better than the stock photo.
I like that picture. Hey, I just got an endorsement from Jeremy Carter on my 100-degree date.
Oh, he's endorsing it?
He's endorsing it. He believes in it. But he also said he's going to turn an alligator loose in the pond before the wedding. So I'm not sure if I still like him.
Well, that's not good. We're going to have to...
Jeremy's got... He finds the most dangerous animals.
I love Jeremy. Jeremy is probably one of the coolest Oklahomans I know.
People watching, go check out Jeremy Carter's Facebook page. He's got videos of copperheads and rattlesnakes and water moccasins and snapping turtle, anything that could rip your hand off. Jeremy's playing with it.
There's a pretty good chance if we send Jeremy Carter out on a chase that we're probably going to get at least some type of animal or some endangered species that's going to pop up, and he's going to, and he knows it all. Like I remember one time he held up a picture of what looked like a lizard or a snake or something like that. He said it was a legless lizard and that he hadn't seen one in like 20 years. I mean, go check out his page.
So cool.
Yeah, Jonathan usually chats a lot with him on chase days. Usually you can always count on Jonathan and Jeremy having some conversation about there being like a snake that he's come across or something.
He's the animal for the Oklahoma.
OMY for people that want to check this out. OMY.
Yeah.
He's the Oklahoma animal whisperer, is what he is. He's just like who's the Australian guy who knew? What was Steve?
The guy that was killed, Steve Irwin.
Well, yeah, because that's not the point. That's not the parallel there, Brad.
Yeah.
You just stay with me. Steve Irwin knew everything about Australian animals, right? That's Jeremy Carter. He knows everything. You know it. He knows it about the animal.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of fun talking to him about some of that stuff. So.
Yeah, you throw anything out there. Actually, and Jeremy even there was an alligator that was in some southern Oklahoma lake that I think was endangered, or they were trying to get rid of it. And Jeremy, he loves his animals. I think he was probably going to go down there and try to save the alligator.
The one that was shot and killed?
I don't know. Was that it? Did they kill
I think
it?
someone was keeping it as a pet, from what I've heard.
Yeah, Rush Springs. Yeah, there was one at Rush Springs that someone that was in their pond, and they ended up killing it for some reason.
Yeah, the local chatter was it's been there for a long time, and someone from not around there was where they weren't supposed to be and saw the alligator.
I've had a big problem with snakes. I come home at night and I find a bunch of snakes just slithering across the road at about midnight. So keep your eyes on the snakes. Hey, Shelby, real quick, by the way, since we were talking about weddings, I saw the photos up above your mantle there. Is Gary and Ginger going to show up to the wedding?
I'm pretty sure Gary and Mary will be there. No, Ginger's not going.
Ginger's not going to come? Oh.
Your baby bump, though?
I know. I heard the news that she's expecting.
Really tiny, but it's there.
It's always cute when we can try to bring in a new meteorologist into the world, right?
Yeah.
So,
very exciting.
Well, anything else y'all want to add?
Oh, I do have one more thing. Sorry,
Okay.
it won't take long. Oklahoma watermelons. My family grows watermelons down in southern Oklahoma. First year ever, they haven't had a watermelon yet because of all the rain. Hasn't been warm enough.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So that'll be
what
something
kind of weather do the watermelons need?
I'm honestly not sure. It needs to be hot. It needs to be warm. I think a lot of it has to do with the ground temperature, I guess. But yeah, it hasn't been warm enough for them yet.
I would guess that rotting could be a big time concern since they're sitting on the ground and the ground's so wet.
Yeah, that's true too.
Man.
It'll be something interesting to watch over the next couple of weeks.
You know, my neighbors had a pretty good garden, and I remember this time last year they were growing some melons, some cantaloupe, and I haven't seen a whole lot of fruits coming yet off their vines. So that is a story you got to watch. I'll have to watch. So. Okay. All right, Brad, Jonathan, anything else? No? Jonathan's filling in tonight, so check him out, 5, 6, and 10. Brad, you're back in the morning. And I am flying out for a couple days up to Minnesota, but I'll be back on Sunday.
Are you? What are you doing in Minnesota?
So there is a ABC television series now that's called In an Instant. And it's all about how people's lives were changed in an instant. It will air at 9 o'clock on Saturdays, right for the 10 o'clock news. And it's one of those shows where they'll do an interview and then they'll have actors try to reenact. So they're telling the story of me and Melissa and the dogs from May 2013, the Moore tornado. So we're going to go up there. And
Minnesota for that?
Yeah, so going up to Minnesota.
Not where I would. Is that where the studio is?
Yeah, that's where the studio is. So now I'm still trying to get Pierce Brosnan to play my my actor. You know, he hasn't agreed to it yet. You know, so maybe he will. You know, now I don't know who they're going to bring in, but they're very strict on wanting to.
Why
make
wouldn't
sure.
they just use you for? I mean, because they're going to put somebody on a weather wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
To showcase. I mean, wouldn't you be the best person for that?
You know, and there's a chance they were actually asking for pictures also of people in the studio. So, Brad, I remember you were in the studio that day. I tried to describe everyone that was in the studio, so I can't promise that you're going to look exactly the way you do now. Watch it be like this, you know, tall, 6'5", 6'9" guy.
You got to have some guns. That's one area where I'm a little insecure. My guns aren't as big as I'd like them to be.
I think you know, but so they're gonna shoot this, and actually it's about a 2-hour shoot. I have to bring multiple outfits, and I don't know when the air date is going to be. They're gonna have someone play Melissa and our dogs. So Melissa's trying to get Reese Witherspoon to play her, which I don't think. What's that?
No, that's actually pretty good characterization. She did a good job there.
Yeah. So far Reese hasn't responded to any of her tweets. So no telling. So we're gonna go up and shoot this. So we're gonna go up to Jonathan's old stomping grounds, land of 10,000 lakes, play around, but I'll be back on Sunday.
Cool.
So all right, well, good talking to you all today. So and we'll chat soon.
Well, we look forward to that show. You said